So welcome to the Windhaven Community call-in for the evening. And we always start with a prayer or meditation. And so for this evening, I thought we would use a little singing bowl. So I invite you to take a few deep breaths and relax and just tune in to the energy. And I'm going to unplug my headphones for this part and just tune in and enjoy a moment with the singing bowl. So it was very quiet. You might not have heard it, but perhaps you've enjoyed the vibration and just a moment to tune in to your inner wisdom as we begin. So our topic for this evening, I had thought that I would share a few little energy tools with the group. I thoroughly enjoyed last week where we had our in-person fire ceremony, and it was just so lovely to share information, share some tools, and I thought perhaps I could share a few and it might inspire each of you to come up with something if you feel so called, if something comes to mind. So, one of the things that I was going to talk about is, of course, our energy field. Now, this is not new to anyone, I'm sure, but I did want to just share, just as a little bit of a reminder, how our energy field works, and to understand how the energy tools that each of us uses is impacting our energy field. So, as you are aware, this is actually our energy field, and it mimics the energy patterns of the earth, and that is actually how our energy field moves and is always ever changing. And as you see here, here's another little demonstration of our aura. It's egg shaped, and it is actually a torus. And there's actually one down here showing how, of course, the energy field is ever changing and ever dynamic. And so that's what we're working with. And of course, it's layers. So we have our emotional body, our mental body, our auric body, and the electromagnetic field, which is the closest into our physical body. So that is how our energy field works. And I don't know if anyone here has seen, I was just going to look up some of the Alex Gray images. They're absolutely fabulous, how he shows how the energy field works. And I was just going to pick one as a sample. So here's even an example of how we take in energy and how it works. And notice over here, if you can see, he's kind of showing like almost a hand,
Oh, yeah.
like the hand of an angel, right? And that's our angelic guides, but also he does have some images that I was particularly looking for, and of course couldn't put my hands on. But what happens in that energy field is we will have our wounds. And so it will look like a sliver, or it'll look like something almost solid or crystallized in our energy field. And what happens is that wound is where energy collects, and it's like a washing machine that you get socks stuck in it, and then the energy doesn't as freely flow. And so that's just a little bit of a reminder of what our energy field is doing. It's ever changing, ever dynamic, and we can, with our intent. That's why sometimes we're feeling high energy, and then we can go to low because of our interactions with the world around us, and what is happening with our energy field. Maybe if one of these wounds gets triggered, then it changes the dynamics, and the energy can shift and change, and then it's filtered out into our mental and emotional bodies, and of course, through our belief system. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's just a visual depiction. And so what I wanted to share was just a short energy tool on how we can recalibrate our energy. And so the shaman doesn't care about who you were. So many people look at past lives or look at that kind of thing. That is important, but the shaman is most interested into who you are becoming, who you are as your highest self. And so we only want to look at the traumas in the energy field long enough to get it out of the way of our fullest self. And so when we look at the chakras and look at the energy field, we want to, of course, help our clients to clean and clear their energy field so that they can really shine and be balanced. And one of the ways to tune in is a exercise that I learned, and it's called the second attention and exercise. So it's actually an eye movement that will recalibrate our neural networks. And so imagine that your eyes are the face of a clock. Okay, so here my face is the clock. So 12 o'clock, let's see if I'm looking at the clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and so what you're going to do is imagine your eyes are the face of the clock, and the eyes are like a pointing device that are going to signal the region of our brain as we employ different mental activity. And so we're going to bring our hands together, and this joins the two parts of ourselves and allows them to connect. And then you're going to rotate your eyes with your eyelids shut to clear your perceptual screen. So you know how we close our eyes and that's often where we can see with our clairvoyance. So we get images, impressions. Well, this will help us to reset our mental screen. So you're going to rotate with your eyelids shut to clear your perceptual screen. And you're going to move your eyes left to right. So I'm moving my head to just show you, but you're going to actually keep your head still, your eyes shut, and move your eyes from left, rotate across to right, and back again, and move them. Then you're going to move them up to down, and upper left to lower right. So try that again. Rotate your eyes with your eyes shut, left scan to the right, let your eyes rotate up, let your eyes travel down with your eyelids shut. And now you're going to rotate your eyes in a big circle. So as my head is moving, you're going to allow your eyes to rotate in a big circle, say from clockwise. Allow your eyes to rotate. Now allow your eyes to rotate in big circles the other way, counterclockwise. Now rotate your eyes in smaller circles, just little circles. Allow them to rotate. So clockwise, and then turn the other way. Rotate your eyes in small circles. And as you bring your hands together in the prayer pose, it balances your 10 acupuncture meridian points that pass through the body. So be sure that there is a little space between the fingers of each hand and that the fingertips are touching each other. And be sure that your hands are resting against your chest. So bring your hands in deep. Now take in a deep breath and let it out. And now you're going to separate your hands and shake them vigorously. Now bring your hands back into the prayer pose and be aware of the feelings of energy that you notice in your hands. So that your hands or your skin is actually the largest sensory organ. And so if you, we've talked before how if we don't see something, we consider that we're not using our intuition and that we're not gifted. But actually, if we even rub your hands together and then feel the energy, separate your hands, feel the energy between them, and you can feel it's tingly and electrified. So that is called the second attention exercise. So what you can do is if you are, say you're getting ready to tune in or check someone's energy field, you can use your hands. So rub your hands together to make them tingly, and then you can feel over a person's energy field and notice, do you feel something, you come across something that's in their energy field that you kind of notice a bump up against? Do you feel cold or warm? And so what that does for you is to actually reset or recalibrate your neural pathways so that you get, because we're taking in energy all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it helps us to reset that sensory perception. So it clears it. So now we can take in new information. That's another thing that I learned when I started on the shamanic path. I thought I couldn't see anything. I didn't have intuition, and I really struggled with it at the very start. And this was a really good tool for me, because what we don't realize is we're being bombarded by information all the time. And so by stopping and resetting it, then we're setting aside that old information that we took in 5 minutes ago that's still lingering, and we're tuning in to the new energy that's around us. And so it's a useful tool if you're tuning into a client, just to do that small reset, especially for beginners. So that was one of the exercises that I wanted to share with you this evening. And I have one more exercise that I've used since the beginning as a shaman, and I use it now. I've gotten more skilled at it, but I still use the same technique, and that is by shifting our perception. And so when you look at an object, so just to back up just as one step, is that um, we take in the energy. Remember the image I showed you of our body being a torus, and it showed the chakras within our energy field. But what we have is we have a small area somewhere in the front of our energy field that is actually called our assemblage point, and it's kind of like this, like a donut. And that's where we actually take in the energy, and then it goes through our energy field, through our chakras. And so we're actually taking in energy from the world around us through this little assemblage point. And so one of the exercises that we learn is to find that assemblage point. And so I invite you to maybe take a little practice round and see if you can find it. So remember, your energy field is going to be somewhere. It could be anywhere from really close into your body, or it could be quite spread out. It's like an egg shape, but depending on, you know, in the city, it often collapses out smaller. When you're in nature, it's much bigger. So we're searching for that, you feel that spongy feeling, that little bit of movement. So start to feel your energy field. And what you're looking for in Western society, we have this assemblage point somewhere between in our trunk of our body. So somewhere between our hips and probably, our forehead. Some people do have it up here. So typically, if we were in perfect balance, our assemblage point would be here right in the center of us. But oftentimes it's maybe a little over, a little up. So you're looking for just a spot in your energy field that is, you notice that there's a little bit of a different feeling. It might feel warm or cool, or you just feel a different movement somewhere in your energy field. And mine is kind of down here at my waist and off to the side just a little bit, but in this general area. But some people have it up higher. So just notice your energy field and see if you can locate it. So then so our perception is affected by where we find where that energy field is located, because we are taking in the energy from that source. So what we can do, the Peruvian shamans spoke of this energy field and how we can actually move that assemblage point and shift our perception. So if you find that assemblage point and move it around, it's going to change your perception. So just as, notice this, if you had to describe this, if you'd never seen a cell phone before, if I show you this, it's flat and black, it's pretty simple. But if I showed you from this angle, you would describe it quite differently if that's the only angle you saw. It's thin, maybe has a little button that might do something. Then I show you another angle, and look it's bright and shiny, and it looks a lot more dynamic, doesn't it? So notice the 3 different perceptions of the very same object. So if you change your perception when you are looking at something in your environment, you might get a much better picture of what it might be if you've never seen it before, and a better understanding. So I'd like to show you how you can move your assemblage point. So just as we took in that information from 5 minutes ago or an hour ago, and it's still kind of lingering in our energy field, we want to take that assemblage point and move it up into our 8th chakra. So that brings us to the discussion of the 8th chakra. In the Peruvian shamanic tradition, they call it our Viracocha. And so Viracocha means river of light. And so that is the area just above our head here, just not quite at the crown, just a little bit higher, right here. And if you take a moment and feel it and just find it, you'll notice that you'll feel the energy will be a little bit spongy. You might feel a change in temperature when you come into that 8th chakra. So that energy there is what is connecting us to the universe. It contains all the information of who we are, who we've been, and who we're becoming, everything about us. And so we have access to that information at any time. It's there and available to us. And so we can learn to actually reach up into our 8th chakra and bring it down around us. So just like I call it my Harry Potter cloak. So just if you ever watched the Harry Potter videos and saw he had that little invisibility cloak in the movies. So we actually can bring this down. Now it is very temporary. If we lose focus and move on to other things, we're no longer working with our energy field, it'll snap back up into its original position. So it's an unstable, temporary heightening of our energy field, but it's very useful for us if we want to heighten our senses and heighten our intuition. So you can reach up and bring it down around you. And of course, as you practice, you don't have to physically do it. You can, with your intent, just imagine pulling that down around you. And as you pull it down around you, just take a moment to look around the room and notice, does it look different? Does it feel different? Often when we pull that Viracocha down, or the energy from the 8th chakra down around us, our senses become heightened. So sounds, smells, things we see become very different. So we have that energy is available to us always. So coming back to moving our assemblage point, what we want to do is to clear that information like a bucket. I think of it as a bucket, right? So we want to clear that information that's coming in so that we can clearly take in new information. So we take our assemblage point and we want to bring it up into our 8th chakra and clear it. So imagine like it's a bucket being washed out on the edge of a river, and we just dump it, clear it and clean it, and then we can bring it back down to its natural resting place. So this is as a beginner, it might seem, I'm not sure what's happening, but our intent and our imagination will help us to move this energy. So then, when we move that perception point, the shaman calls it tracking. And so we can track an individual's energy, or we can track a storyline with this assemblage point. And by moving it, we get a different angle of each part of the story so that we get a more complete picture of what is happening. So when we look at this angle, let's say this is the perception of the literal. So this is what's going on, devoid of emotion, what's happening, simple, black, clean, doesn't seem to do too much. Then we look at another aspect, perhaps the symbolic. So that's more the emotional, that's more that things stand for other things. So when we look at this, we think, what is going on? Then the next level, we think, what is really going on? And then when we move to the mythic, we start to see the bigger, more vibrant picture. And so that's how we can move our assemblage point and get a perception. So you've taken your assemblage point, and we're going to move it to the literal. So the literal is actually, I should have had a picture ready for you, but it's in the range of the first chakra. So take your assemblage point, move it up to your eighth chakra and dump it, clear the bucket by imagining that river of light, cleaning and clearing it. And then you're going to bring it down to the vicinity of your first chakra. And then just take a moment to look around in your environment. Notice how things look, feel a little bit different than normal. So this is the literal. Then we're going to take that assemblage point. We're going to bring it back up to the bridge and clear it and clean it. So we're not taking in that information from that area anymore. And now we're going to bring it down into the area of our second chakra, kind of right around our belly button. Now take a moment to look around. Things appear a little bit differently. So this is where you perhaps are taking in things emotionally. You're sensing that something is a little bit more is going on. You're not looking at it from the level of the black and white. Now you're going to take that assemblage point back to bridge to clear the information so that you get a nice, clear, crisp message. And then you're going to move it here in front of your third eye. And this is where, when we look around, we start to get a picture of what is happening at the level of the soul's journey. So we're getting the bigger picture and what's really going on. And then we put it back up into our eighth chakra, clean and clear the bucket. And then move our assemblage point back to its natural resting state, wherever we began. So that is literally how you can shift your perception. And anyone can do it. It's a mechanical part, just like we have a circulatory system, a respiratory system, we have an energy system, and everyone's energy system is made up of exactly the same components. And so when we start to track our clients, we start to see at the literal, what's really going on with them, devoid of emotion, the black and white, simple information. So we might get quite a few words around it. Then when we move to the symbolic, now we start to see what's really going on with that story. And we're looking beyond the words that are coming out of our client's mouth. Now we're starting to see if there's perhaps a trigger for them, perhaps past life, that kind of thing. Then when we move up into the energetic, the mythic area, then we start to see perhaps how past, present, and future are all tied into the story. And we really see how it's helping them on their soul's journey. And so it's a powerful tool to really be able to get a picture of something at different angles. So practice that on your and just see. So pick perhaps a topic or a subject that perhaps a person, and just ask a question of what's going on with them, and just see what you get. Now, of course, I offer the disclaimer that I'm sure we all here know, but I still feel compelled to offer it, is that when we tune into people's energy field, it's somewhat private and personal. So when we see something, we don't necessarily have to dig deeper. I, I know that any one of you would not go to somebody's bedroom and start rooting through their drawers. And so just as the same, we learn this tool, but we don't necessarily start rooting through their energetic drawers. So just the disclaimer that once you learn this tool and start to see things that are maybe very personal and private to a person, that we give them that dignity and respect. I think everyone naturally and instinctively uses these tools, but when we learn how to mechanically manipulate it, so when I began, I would actually use my hands and move it around, but now I just, with my intent, know it's here, take it to bridge, and I don't use my hands, but I literally go through those 3 levels of engagement to see what's happening with a client. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to understand at the different levels, so that it's like a puzzle and you start to see how the puzzle pieces fit together. And so you, because of where your assemblage point is, you will naturally have a talent for where you take in your information, but this offers you just a little bit more depth to be able to look at the energy from different angles. And then the other part is to understand that this energy up here in the 8th chakra, of course, is pure white light. It's the pure form of energy, and we have access to it at any time. So so as a shaman, when I work with my clients and I unwind their chakras, clean and clear them, then I offer some of that pure white light into their chakra, and then I wind it shut and close it. And that re-imprints the chakra or illuminates it. And so once we've cleaned and cleared, say, any wounds, any slivers, shards that might be residing in the energy field, or a piece of crystallized energy, we pull that out, then we bring down that energy and rewind the chakra, and that's called re-imprinting or illuminating. So same thing, everyone has access to that energy. You can even do it for yourself. Say you're in the shower and you want to clean and clear a chakra, open it up, allow the water to clean it, and then reach up into your chakra, bring in some of that energy, and then rewind your chakra. and you can actually illuminate or re-imprint your own chakras. So that's a wonderful tool for some self-care, is re-imprinting your chakra. So I know that was a lot of information. That was, but that was just an introduction to how some of the tools that I've learned along the way for working with our energy field. I didn't even stop for a breath to ask if you had any questions around that.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
The eye is very interesting in body talk. We work with active memories, and we do the whole eye. We go, around clockwise, counterclockwise, left and right, and up and down to help clear the attachment to the memory. And it's like,
Perfect.
so it's all. I mean, it's all the same. We're all doing the same thing, just from a little different perspective, right?
Absolutely. I completely agree that there's a resonance with each thing we do, and sometimes one tool will resonate with you and another tool will resonate with someone else. But really, you're right, we're all doing very, very similar things when working with energy.
But I like that one, yeah. And
I
like the assemblage. So the assemblage point is where you're drawing in your energy.
Yes.
Is it where you're just drawing just whatever energy is around you?
Yeah, right? You're taking in the energy from around you. So it's kind of like a donut-sized shape. And that's where the energy comes in. And then it goes to your chakras and you process it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like that one too.
Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That's the basic tool that I use for tracking. And it's like when you get adept at it, it's amazing because you can read the chakra, you can read it from the literal, the symbolic, and the energetic, and you start to see what's happening in their story, right? So it's a very powerful tool, and it seems it's quite simple, but once you get using it and get adept at it, it's really powerful. That's lovely. That's how shamans track.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I like how you talked about only looking at the wounds in the energy field long enough just to clear it, and like that whole not getting hung up on the past, right? Let's clean this and move forward.
Yeah. Well, because sometimes people in the New Age movement of the last 20 years, we get so caught up in, what were your past lives and who were you? And were you the Queen of England, or were you from, Mary Queen of Scots? And really, who you are or who you were isn't nearly so important as who you're becoming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. And so I know it's something that people really get caught up in. The other little tidbit is that when you are working on someone's energy field and you're kind of mucking around in there, you're affecting that energy field. And so when we focus too much on the wound, it kind of heightens its importance to our clients as well. And they start to dwell on, I have this wound, or, and then they start to identify so much more. But when we show our clients that this is a wound that they can energetically clear so that they can become their fully authentic self, it empowers them. And so that's where we're giving them permission to really become something far more than that wounded self. So, and I think, you've probably experienced it yourself when you were on the beginning of your journey and you found out, I had a past life as something, or I have this wound. We really embellish it, and because it's like, oh my goodness, that explains so much. But unfortunately, we've had many, many, many lifetimes of wounds. So,
and I've heard that, you hear people, well, I was this and this happened. It's like, Okay, let that
Yeah,
go because
that's
that's
yeah,
not you anymore.
exactly. And the truth of it is, you know, whether we believe in past lives or not, I have even wondered, is that really a lifetime we lived, or is it a story that our psyche has made up to show us what our wounding is?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. You know, I do believe in
Yeah.
past lives, but sometimes the stories become so elaborate,
Yes.
and really, does it? You know, it's not as important as the emphasis that we put on it, because once we've cleared it away, then it's just a story.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like that of the, well, yeah, 'cause maybe it's just there. That's just the lesson you need, right? So maybe it wasn't that, like,
exactly,
where does the whole life thing, where does your life begin and end, right? If we
exactly.
create our own consciousness, then yeah, that's the lesson you needed. So let's take it. And oh, interesting. Yeah.
Exactly. So when we teach our clients not to place too much importance on it, we need to do the work, but don't get stuck, because we can actually call energy back,
Mhm.
right? And so when we allow our clients to indulge in that wounded state, many of them will, and they'll never be able to move forward into a healed state if we allow them to indulge in that. And so it's, you know, leading by example and showing them that there's so much more that they can enjoy. They don't have to sit and engage in that wounded state, because a lot of people, you probably have found that we're digressing here, but I've had a lot of clients that that's their identity, is their sickness or their wounded state. Like, I'm a victim of child abuse, or I was raped, and they just cannot move forward from that. When what they don't realize is that they are such a beautiful, wonderful soul that has so much more than just that one piece of their life where they were wounded, but
Yeah.
many identify with it. And
Oh,
so,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah. And so this is what I love about the tools, of the energy tracking tools, because you can give them a glimpse of so much more about themselves, and actually allow them to start to build a story around that, and who they are, and who as their fully authentic self. Yeah,
Very good. Thank you.
yeah. So that was my
Yes.
little tidbits for this evening. Because last week, I think everybody at the fire ceremony really seemed to enjoy the little bits that each shared. Like Marie, you shared so much around your little crystal ball, which was wonderful. And then Trevor had shared an energetic tool with us. So, did you either of you have a tool that came, putting you on the spot, but something that came to mind that you'd like to share at all?
Mm,
Not at the moment.
well, okay. There was a thing I wanted to say when we were all together, and that was I don't know if I shared it or not. I don't think I did.
That's okay. You can share it with us this evening.
Well, what always comes to my mind, because the first um, that Colin was talking God, hear God's words and everything, and people say, "Well, how you can hear God and I can't?" And so I said, like Sylvia Brown. Uh, she was one of my mentors, and whenever she said something, I had to really listen, because a lot of she was there for me to ask the questions. Like she would say, her spirit guide is Francine. She always had Francine as her spirit guide. She never had anybody else, and so, and I always so right away I said to myself, well, if she can talk to Francine, why can't she talk to the big guy himself? I just couldn't understand that because I was talking to him. I would get an answer. And so I just thought, well, why are people talking to all these spirits when all they have to do is talk to the big guy himself? And so that's why you can have all these spirit guides or spirits around you and you can talk to them, but who else has the most knowledge than anybody else? And so that's how sometimes I would explain to people is, why would I talk to another spirit when I can talk to God? So, but whenever I say God, I see Jesus. His image comes to me. Even now, I say his name, and his image is right there. So to me, and I only think of just as a mentor. I once I even when I had my miracle and I would see him all the time, it was like he was my mentor. I never thought of him as a religious symbol. He looked like a human being, and that's who I thought of as a man. As he's talking to me, he's my mentor, and so it was easy for me to connect with him. And yeah, so I always say, you got all these spirits. One's guiding you this way, one's guiding you that way. Well, why not just talk to the big guy? You'll get the truth. Definitely get the truth of everything. So I think that's what I wanted to say, that we don't have to go to all these spirits when we can just talk to the big guy. And he'll give you your answers. Yeah.
So that's very lovely, Marie, because it really reminds us that because there are many spirits, and we know that it's all just energy. However, there are
and I think of him as the positive energy that I receive. That's the bright light. That's what that is to me, is God, or the energy. Positive energy. That's what I think of. God is my positive energy that I receive. And you can just feel that energy. Even when you say his name, it's just that bright light, and you just feel that it just warms you up.
I love how you I love how you shared that, because I was just about to say, for those who are uncomfortable with thinking of God or Jesus as a religious entity or being, some consider it creator. Yeah. But for those,
grew up with it.
Yeah. And there are many who did grow up with it, but there are some who are uncomfortable with that. But the way you described it, about it being a bright light and being an energy. So if we're uncomfortable with thinking of God or Jesus, we can think of source, creator.
Yeah.
And it's the same energy.
Yeah.
But it's that powerful energy that we have access to if we just ask for it, and it will come down around us. And so it's the same whether we say God or source or Jesus or creator. Any of those energies are all the same source, and so it's whatever anyone's comfortable with, but understanding that when we reach out to certain spirits, we don't always know if they're benevolent or not. And so by asking God or source to connect us, we know that we're getting the highest, most benevolent energy coming to us. And so, Tracy, how do you sense energy?
Can you excuse me for 5 seconds?
Yes.
My dog is scratching at my door. I'm just going to let him into my room.
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I really liked how you described that, Marie, because that's how I feel energy. When I have the Jesus or the Christ energy coming to me, I see red, right? So it's when I call in or ask for help and Jesus comes in, I know, like, I have a sense of a image, but I see it mostly as color, and then it feels
Yes.
like this powerful
Warmth.
healing energy. Yeah, warmth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
some people, you know, it's kind of, I continue to say Jesus and God, because the journey was, I was being taught spiritually through religion. Yeah. So, but as my religion went away, I was being taught more. How my journey went was I was religion, Christianity, and spirituality. That's how my journey went. So, but that's how what I had to learn, because that's what most people were being taught right off the bat was religion. You know, so I guess that's why I continue to, my speaking is still like that. But it got to the point where, like I said, it's the positive energy that we receive, the bright light, and that's what it is. That you can call it God, like you said, or creator, or you know, it's the same.
it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's whatever we're comfortable with. And
Yeah.
and Tracy, just back to you, what
Yeah.
were can you tell us or share with us how you connect or how you sense that energy of source or whatever you call it?
I like you. Do you mean just on my own, or when I'm working with somebody? If
No, either or,
just
either
yeah.
or. Yeah, just how you perceive.
I think probably I like the white light, like, and I use that a lot
Yeah.
at the end of my sessions. I have the person, like, we focus on a white light and filling
Yeah.
your body, and so I think that's just a good yeah, it's just that positive
And
feel,
positive
that nice
energy.
flowing, supporting you, guiding you, and it's just, it's, you know, obviously because I work with my hands, but so I feel like as soon as I even start thinking about something or doing something, my hands just start tingling. Like I can just feel them. Like even now, I can just feel like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready for something. I don't know. So it's just not even a conscious thing, right? You just,
Yeah.
it just starts happening, and
Yeah.
I'm the same. As soon as I kind of focus in, my hands start to kind of,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
like
you
a
can feel they're like, I'm
pulse of
ready.
energy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like energy on, Care Bear stand. Yeah, for sure.
You know, yeah. Even before I've learned much, and when I say before I was spiritualist or spiritually, realizing that I was spiritual. Before that, it would, to me, we were calling it hands-on healing. Do you guys remember that? You know, now they call it Reiki.
Yeah.
The same. We're still that same positive energy in our hands, you know, and yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny how more knowledge we receive from what we thought was.
But you know, back, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the energy wasn't as freely accessible. It just seems now that it's just there and readily available for us. I remember when I first started learning.
Can I just say something first?
Sure.
That it's not as rare as you're ready.
Can you repeat that? You were breaking up a little bit.
Okay, you're ready. It's, do you get?
No, you're breaking up.
I got that. It's you're ready.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Now you're good.
Okay. Okay, I got that. It's you're ready. It was always there, but it's you're ready.
Well,
right?
that could be so. That could be so as well. Yeah. Yeah, it could be for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was getting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to interrupt.
No, that's totally okay. Yeah. So yeah, so the I guess the more open we are, the more energy flows. Because we
Yeah.
you know, the energy can stagnate with our own intent, and as we get more free flowing with our energy, then it's more abundantly flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My sister, when she was going to this ministry, and that happened to be where I received my miracle. And she called me up and she says, "Oh, would you like to come to my church?" And I says, "Well, I don't know." And then her response right away was, "You're not ready." And I thought, how could she say that? I always thought I was ready. So then I hung up and I was a little upset. And then, but my inner voice said, "You're going." And so I did, because it was meant for me to go, right? And I was ready because I felt I was ready. And that night I received that miracle. It was amazing. And yeah, before I wasn't open to it. And then also it was just my time. It's all about timing also. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And you know
quite
what?
funny.
Funny that you should mention that. So that brings another thought to me is that we all have this, or not all, but many have the idea that we're all moving towards an enlightened state, right? That it might take hundreds or thousands of years for us to get to that point, but we're all heading toward that point of enlightenment. And
Yeah.
you know, there may be some who are perfectly good, good people and spiritual, but they will not choose to openly use their gifts and talents in this lifetime. And that is perfectly okay. They might choose just to be a good person, to dig in the dirt, to do good works, and that might be, they may not choose to admit to any healing gifts or to psychic gifts, and that is perfectly okay on their path. Obviously, maybe it's a lifetime of rest that they needed, or they're just part of their life purpose is not necessary to be awake and active, and that's okay because we're still all on our journey, and it's
Yeah.
perfect for us. So, for those of us who feel called to be healers or to be visionaries, that's where we are because we're feeling that life purpose pulling us forward. But for those of us who choose not to, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
many
True.
who just won't open up to that in
Mhm.
this lifetime. So yeah.
I
So
got, I got, I've got sisters there, and they're, yeah, I continue to pray for them to uh, recognize their own energy, you know,
mhm.
and it saddens me to see them where they are. But that's their journey, like you say, that's their journey. I got to remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the best thing we can do for other people is to do our own work, because if they are
Yeah.
energetically connected to us, that it
Hmm.
will shift their energy as well. So if we have a like a
Yeah.
karmic, or like if it's a family, like a genetic connection, thing we can do for our loved ones is to do our own healing, because we're healing
Hmm.
all those around us. So
Yes. True. True.
yeah. So that's kind of all I had for the topic.
Oh,
Um,
I wanted to share what happened to me when we were doing the eyes, and then
oh,
we opened
yes,
our
sure.
eyes. Yeah. Well, it was
Yes.
so funny because when I first looked, I just felt I could feel I was in that bubble. It was totally, everything around me was, I knew it was there, but I could feel myself in this bubble. Okay, and then the next time we closed our eye and opened it, all of a sudden I I knew I was in the bubble, but everything around me was so small. I thought it was in everything shrunk. And then the third time when we closed our eyes, and then I opened it again, everything was it was still small, but some of the ornaments were large, were just huge. And I thought, what's going on? So yeah, that's what was happening to me. But the first time I could really feel the energy around me, like this whole bubble I was in, and yeah, everything had changed on the outside. And yeah, I have to share that before we take off.
No, that's
That's
wonderful.
good.
And
Yeah.
so I encourage you to practice, like pick something that you want to intuitively tune
Yeah.
into, and then practice that exercise and
Hmm.
see how much more information
Yeah.
you get. And how different the information is. So I share this exercise in a workshop. Um, what's the workshop I share? It's the awakening the inner shaman, and so then we do it to a piece of music, and so then we
Ah,
go through those perceptual states, and then you
nice.
start to get a more of a sense. So you might see something, or see, imagine a story before you based on the music that's playing, and then you start to see at the different perceptual states how that story takes on a different meaning at each level.
Mhm.
And of course, I cannot neglect to share, when we move our perceptual state, we can move it here to the eighth chakra to bridge, and then we can also just let it go and poof.
Mm.
When we connect it to the energetic or to spirit, there are no words. There's just a feeling that we can't describe because
Oh.
there are no words with it.
Mm.
So that's when we can take that energy and hand it over to spirit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like
So,
that.
um,
It was
you know, yeah,
really good tonight.
yeah. Well, I hope you
I really
enjoyed
like
that.
that. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
Yeah.
because
really good.
I've been um, wanting to share some of these tools, and I know it's just a quick overview of the tools, but it's quite useful if you get a moment to practice them.
Hmm.
And we can just share with each other all these little tools, because as healers, we have these little toolkits, and at some time down the road, you might be called to, oh, yes, I remember I had this little tool that I learned, and I'm going to bring it out today. And it's perfect in that moment for that person. And so that's how I think our energy work is going to move forward. That we just have such a wide range of things available to us. So it's just in that moment we think, this is the tool I'm going to use today. So we bring out the hammer, or we bring out the screwdriver, and we use it, and it's perfect in that moment. And so the more tools that we have in our arsenal, the more well-rounded we can be for our clients. And it's just a matter of becoming familiar with them, and spirit, tuning into our intuition, will recall those tools when the moment is right.
That was really good. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing those.
Yes, I
Yeah.
really like that too. Yeah.
So just, was there anything else that either of you wanted to
Well,
share this evening?
I said I wanted to ask Tracy if I can book a session with you.
Okay, so maybe let's just close out, and then we can maybe have a little bit of a chit chat after. So I did
Oh,
want to just bring up after this week. So next week is the July long weekend. We're not going to perhaps meet because everybody will be
yeah.
busy that week. But in mid-July, we enjoyed our fire ceremony so much last week that I think it would be nice for us to have another one. So Marie, you had offered to
Well,
host this time.
I offered to meditate on it.
Okay.
And when I did meditate on it, I don't get no.
Okay.
Kept getting no for the session.
Okay. Okay. So we will.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Well, I got a feeling it's going to be happening here. So.
Okay. So we will probably choose a park then. I've done some ceremonies at Edworthy Park.
Okay.
And if it's not too busy in July, we could perhaps meet and do a fire ceremony. It's just nice to gather together and outdoors.
Yes, yeah.
Then everybody can come and still feel comfortable if they feel they need to social distance. We want to respect other people's needs. So we'll talk a little bit more about the date, but I was thinking either the 2nd or the 3rd. I think there might even be 5 weeks in July this time because of the way the first falls. So probably July, if it's a Thursday, the 16th or the 23rd. So I'll confirm that. If we wanted to meet again in person and invite everybody to come and join the fire ceremony. So I also wanted to just mention what a lovely time I had last night at Tracy's meditation. So Tracy,
thank you.
You offer meditations on Wednesday evenings.
Yes.
And so at tracybardos.com, check that out.
Well, actually,
give me a second.
Oh.
Give me a second. I'm going to get a pen.
Sure.
Don't start.
I won't say anything.
Okay. So I'm sure it's to sign up for your newsletter. That's
yeah. I'll just get her.
Yeah, but for those who might be listening after, I just wanted to share that you're having some weekly meditations.
Yeah. So I was just going to say the best thing to do is to email tracybardos@gmail.com, and then I will Bardos BARDOS. BARDOS. Can you see my name? It's just my name up. Can you see my name?
Yeah. Okay, I see it. Yeah.
It's just that at gmail.com.
At Gmail.
Gmail. Here. Do you want me to? I can do it in the chat, and then you have it. Just to.
So just back to your so every week you have a theme.
Yes.
And you pick a different theme every time, and then you focus the meditation on that theme.
Yes. So it's guided, but it's not. I guess it's. I think I do mine a little different in that what I like to do is I like to kind of mix information with some learning, with some, bring in kind of the Western, Eastern views of whatever the topic is, and to help people think about it differently. And then we do some little exercises, meditative exercises throughout to help, depending what the theme is, if it's something that flows well with some Chinese medicine information, we'll focus on different things that way. And then we do just 5 minutes of silence and then guide you out. And so it's really, I like to do kind of a combination of learning and reflecting and giving you some things to think about and meditate upon, and hopefully some exercises to help you connect with the theme.
Nice.
Yeah. So the best thing is just to email me, and then I can add you to the list of, and I'll let you know when the next meditation is and what the theme is and what you need to do to register.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes. And of course, just to reiterate for those who might be listening, we're meeting with our Windhaven community here online and some occasions in person. And you can reach me at Deanna at haven.com. And same thing, I send out notices, and we usually pick a topic that we have for open discussion. So I invite anyone who wants to come and share with us, just come, feel free to listen in or share as we did this evening. And I just want to thank you, Tracy and Marie, for joining tonight and participating in our conversation. And I hope that you all have a good week.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you too.